Next, I talked to Kris Johnson, a librarian at White Lake Elementary who received a grant last year called Battle of the Books.
Hi, my name is Mrs. Johnson. I'm the media specialist at White Lake Elementary and at Eagle Elementary.
What first got you interested in being a librarian?
Actually, my mother was a librarian back when they were librarians, and I always loved to read books, and I guess that's where my love of it came from.
All right. And so you applied for a grant called Battle of the Books.
Yes.
Sort of to help spread reading to the kids at White Lake and Eagle. And can you explain sort of what that program is for people who don't know?
The Battle of the Books is just a reading incentive program where the students are encouraged to read. I select the books from the Young Hoosier nominees for that particular year, and I select 15 of the books, and then each of the classrooms in 4th grade and then later on in 5th grade are divided up into teams, and as a team they have to read all 15 books. And then we have the battle that I ask questions about each of those books, and they see who knows the most about the books. The winners from each of the classrooms then goes on and battles the whole grade level.
And so what happens when you win the battle?
Actually, it's a big honor to just be able to say that you have won the battle. And then usually we have some kind of a prize. It might be a pizza party, it might be a dilly bar party, or something like that.
This is not your first grant from the Brownsburg Education.
No, Brownsburg Education Foundation has been very helpful with lots of activities that we've had in the Media Center.
So what was the limo ride thing last year?
That was a different reading incentive program. I also did one, and this was a Brownsburg Education Foundation grant also. It was a Dr. Seuss celebration, and the students were challenged to read 1,000 minutes during the month of February. Any student that read the 1,000 minutes got to have their name put in a drawing, and each student also that read 1,000 minutes received a book. And then from each grade level, we chose one student out of the drawing, and they got to go on a limo ride to Barnes & Noble bookstore, and they got a $25 gift card to spend there.
Oh, all right. Because I know my brother, I mentioned this to you earlier, he did the one last year with the limo ride.
He got to go on the limo ride,
yeah,
yes.
He said it was the best day of his life,
oh, good.
actually.
That's great.
And he never reads at all. Like, even now, I mean, he reads a little more than I think he used to.
Right.
But, I mean, during that time, he just, book after book after book, every time he had any free time, he was reading. And
Isn't that exciting?
Yeah, and it's really great to see, you know, the younger kids get exciting and
yes, it
like
is.
fired up about reading.
And that's my whole intent with both of those programs, is that I want them to read, and you know, any little incentive or encouragement that we can give them to read, I think is a good thing. And I also, especially with the Battle of the Books, it introduces them to books that they would not normally read, and so they stretch out a little bit and get out of that box a little bit and find out some new books that is something that they really find out they like.
So do you try to pick books from like different genres so that the kids sort of get a holistic view on reading?
That's true, yes. The Young Hoosier nominees typically include a wide variety of reading levels and of genre, anything nonfiction, biography, poetry, as well as lots of fiction books too.
So do you see kids coming in to the Media Center more often, like looking for those books?
Absolutely, yeah. This was the first year that we did this at Eagle Elementary, and both the teachers and the students just raved about it because it just encouraged them to read so much, and teachers weren't used to seeing their kids read that much, so it was real exciting for them to see that.
I think it's just seeing how excited the kids get about reading, and they love to read during the battles, and kids that normally aren't carrying books around or carrying books around. And one of the greatest things is kids will, especially the first week we started, there's always several kids that come in that first Monday and say, I read this whole book over the weekend, and that just doesn't happen very often.
Some kids who don't read as much can read more than what they usually do because it pushes them to try to win the battle so that they can get the prize at the end.
I get to read books that I normally wouldn't find.
Yeah.
Like on our last Battle of the Books, there was this book called 11 Birthdays, and I'm about to turn 11, so I asked for that for my birthday, but I wouldn't usually pick it out because I usually wouldn't think about it, and then they choose books that kids usually wouldn't actually
because
think about.
if everybody takes that one, then you're left with the one, and then you read it, and then you really like it, and you never knew that you'd like it, and so it just encourages you to read books that
You usually wouldn't pick out.
like don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.